30 days ago, I published my very first TTRPG adventure and made literally dozens of dollars doing so. Hey folks, I'm William, this is RuneForged, welcome to the channel. This is likely the final video in a multi-part series where I detail the process of designing and publishing my very first TTRPG adventure. A link to the playlist for that series, as well as a link to download that adventure for free, can be found down in the video description. Today, I'm going to give you a quick overview of my experience publishing that adventure, including how long it took to make, how well or poorly it was received by the Shadowdark community, how much money I spent and made while publishing the adventure, and whether or not I plan on publishing any other adventures like this in the future. So when I started this process, I did set a few goals for myself. So let's dig in and see if I was able to meet any of those objectives. So the first goal was to complete and publish the adventure by the end of 2024, which was about 2 months worth of time in order to complete the adventure. I am happy to report that I was able to reach that goal. In fact, it only took me about 20 days from starting the adventure until the time that it was published on DriveThruRPG. And to be fair, several of that 20-day period was simply waiting for the proofreading to be done, and also for DriveThruRPG to give the final approval to post the adventure on their site. So really, it was probably closer to 14 days from start to finish. And if I'm being honest, a vast majority of the heavy lifting on the design process was completed within the first few days of that time period. All right, so goal number 2 was to get at least 50 downloads of the adventure on DriveThruRPG within the first 30 days after publishing. And we were able to get a whopping 304 downloads in that period, absolutely blowing that goal out of the water. 300 plus downloads seems absolutely insane to me, and I just want to take a second to say thank you to all the people who took the time to download and look through the adventure. I very much appreciate it. And if you haven't had a chance to check out the adventure yet, I will make sure to leave a link down in the description where you can download a copy of that adventure from DriveThruRPG completely for free. Technically pay what you want, but you can just put in 0 and you can get it for free. So very, very happy with the amount of engagement related to the adventure. So the third goal that I had was to get an average of a 4-star rating across at least 5 reviews. Now, I knew going in that this goal was probably a little bit overambitious because most Shadowdark products don't get 5 reviews over the course of their entire lifespan, much less over the first 30 days. So I knew this was going to be a tough goal to reach. It turns out that the adventure does have an exactly 4-star average review score on DriveThruRPG right now, but unfortunately that's only as a result of 2 reviews. So not as concrete as I would have liked, to try and get a feel for how much the community really enjoyed or did not enjoy the adventure. That said, there was a lot of positive feedback being given in the comments, both on DriveThruRPG and on the YouTube video where I kind of announced the release of the adventure. So I think that even though I didn't meet the goal of getting 5 reviews on DriveThruRPG, I still do feel pretty good about the overall level of quality for the adventure. Just my own personal kind of biased opinion probably, and then just based on the limited anecdotal feedback that I received, both on YouTube and DriveThruRPG. So, despite not getting quite as many reviews as I would have liked on DriveThruRPG, overall, I am pretty satisfied with the overall reception to the adventure. And goal number 4, which I kind of added later, was just not to lose any money on publishing the adventure. Ultimately, I did opt to publish the adventure as pay what you want, as opposed to releasing it completely for free, mostly just to cover any expenses that I might incur in getting that adventure published. So overall, in the first 30 days of the adventure being published, I made a grand total of about $51.20 in revenue. But I also spent $42.59 in making the adventure, with $15.36 of that being DriveThruRPG's cut of the revenue. I also spent $4.99 on a Shadowdark Word template so that I wouldn't have to go too hard on the formatting side of things. I was able to just use that template, which was really nice. I'll put a link to that down in the description if you guys want to check that out for yourselves. And then I spent $22.24 on stock art for the adventure. So after subtracting the expenses from that top line revenue of $51.20, I am left with a profit of $8.61. So while that is not a large amount of money by any stretch of the imagination, I am happy to report that the adventure was profitable and I didn't lose any money in the course of making the adventure. So that does make me happy. So now I want to spend a little bit of time talking about what my experience was like designing and publishing my very first Shadowdark adventure. Overall, I have to say it was a really fun experience. I really enjoy the creative aspect of making adventures. And I also enjoyed the additional challenge of trying to present it in a way that would make sense to other GMs if they were going to run this adventure for themselves, which was definitely a new experience for me, as I'd only ever written adventures that I was going to run myself. As I mentioned previously, I am pretty satisfied with how the adventure turned out overall. And I do consider the design and publishing experience to be a positive one. That said, I did find that after I ran the adventure for my own group, which was a really enjoyable experience, and making just a few minor tweaks to the adventure after I did that, I did very much feel the need to kind of wrap things up and move on to the next thing. I had originally planned to do much more extensive playtesting and to incorporate a lot more feedback from the community overall. But I definitely started to run out of steam, like motivation, towards the end of week number 2. And to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what caused that. I think it's probably something I'll have to reflect on before I take on another project like this in the future. So I think a question that probably some of you might have is, would I ever consider publishing more adventures in the future? And I think the answer to that is, yeah, I think that I would. I do have some ideas for some kind of curse scroll adjacent products, like kind of little mini settings for Shadowdark that I would love to dig into and publish at some point. But if I do that, it's definitely going to be after taking a pretty sizable break from the kind of creative process. I did find it like, even though the process went much faster than I expected it to, only taking 20 days as opposed to the 60 days that I kind of allotted for myself. I did find the process pretty draining for reasons that I don't quite understand. So I do want to do more publishing in the future, but I definitely am going to have to wait a little bit to see if I can get some of that motivation back to kind of dig into those projects, especially if they're going to be like kind of a larger scale product. Like a curse scroll is like, it's not just one adventure, but it's an adventure plus a whole bunch of other supplemental material. So that would be a much larger undertaking than, just this single adventure that I published my first go around. So we are starting to get towards the end of the video here, but before you close the browser window, there are a couple more things that I wanted to say. If anybody has any questions about designing or publishing a Shadowdark adventure, obviously I'm not an expert after, just publishing one thing, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So just go ahead and leave those down in the comments, and I will do my best to respond to those in hopefully a helpful way. And finally, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been following this series. I very much appreciate your enthusiasm and engagement for a topic I know can be pretty niche. So thank you again. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye.